So during the break, you were telling me about working on Milton Berle.
Oh,
Tell
it
me
was
a
the
little
Jackie Gleason show in Florida. And, it was, Jackie Gleason was a terrific actor, but he didn't rehearse. He never rehearsed. He came in at the last minute for the broadcast, and then he acted with you. And I was a nervous wreck. I think when I was still I was still living in New York, and they flew me to Florida, and I got psoriasis of the oh, what do you call it, with the skin, nerve from nerves. But when I got there, mine calmed down, and I'm talking about all these people and how nervous they get, like Art Carney with the lips, and who did I mention? Somebody else. Anyway, Milton Berle was on the show, and he got terribly nervous. He gets nervous, and only he was letting it out on all of the dancers who were supposed to lift him, and he was telling them what he wanted, and too much fussing about it, too much, and they said, listen, just cut it out or we're not going to lift you. We're not going to do it. And so, we all had our little thing, but we all came through in the end. We all come through in the end. Well, that's about it.
Excellent. So let's jump back ahead again to 1978. You were cast as Mrs. Garrett on Diff'rent Strokes. Now, you were still under contract at ABC.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, no, you were still under contract at CBS, but this was on ABC. So tell us how you got out of your contract to be on the show.
Yeah, well, Diff'rent Strokes was on NBC.
Okay.
And it was at CBS, yeah, CBS. Yeah, and the thing that happened was I found out that I still had another month or a couple of weeks left on my my option for them to find me a series. I know it's funny, but when you're offered a series, you want to be sure it's a good one. You don't want to grab at anything. And something was offered to me that was a lady sheriff, in some western state. And it just didn't ring. And I was postponing. And then I was doing the Eddie Capra mystery at Universal, and I got a call from Jane Murray over at Norman Lear's, Tandem Productions, saying, would you come over, Diff'rent Strokes there? They have the cast. They have Conrad Bain and the girl and the two boys, but they need a housekeeper. So I went in. I drove over and I was expecting, to read. And they sat me down with, I think his name was Bud Grossman, and he asked me questions. He said, what do you think a housekeeper should be in this household for Mr. Drummond? And I said, well, there are 3 children without a mother, so I guess they need a little mothering, and I think they need a lot of nice attention and a little guidance, but no funny business with them. They gotta be, there's certain rules that they have to apply to. You can't just melt and just love them to death. And I said something like that. I don't remember exactly. And I was waiting for them to give me the script, and they never gave me a script. And then I got a call from Jane Murray, and she said, you have the job. I said, oh my God. Then I found out that I didn't have the job because they still had me at CBS, and they didn't want to let me go. Bud whatever his last name is, I forgot. Because I'm 90, I keep forgetting. But listen, it's okay. It's okay, God. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. Really believe. So it was Sunday, and I was mulling around and mulling around. I was at the valley somewhere, someplace where you exercise and eat, the Oaks or something like that. And I called, because he was so accessible, Norman Lear. I had his number. I called and told him what was happening. And he said, he said, Bud Grant owes me a favor or two. I've done a few for him. You know, he had so many shows, like All in the Family and all sorts of shows on CBS. He said, I'll bet you a nickel I can get you out of it. And sure enough, he did. He did. He did. And I went into Different Strokes. What a wonderful part. I loved that woman. She was such a nice lady. She was a good cook. I'm a good cook, not a great cook. She was a good cook and a good housekeeper. I'm not that great. Let's face it. Let's be honest. Why not? And but the love for those boys and that girl, I had it. I had it. And we had the most delightful year. They were so darling and warm. And Dana was a little flaky, but she was okay. But the boys were so sweet. And the little one,
Gary Coleman.
Gary, he was so little. I would hold him in my arms, and I could lift him up. He was so, and he was the star of that show. He was the star. As one producer who was not connected with us said, he's your meal ticket, and he won. And yet, you know, it's so sad because I went into his dressing room once to tell him something, and he was in dialysis. His mother was a nurse and supervising. He never talked about it, never. He was such a trooper and always delivered, always. And I don't want to talk about it anymore because he's gone.
Yeah.
But it's tragic what happened to him, tragic. But boy, when we went on to Facts of Life, I was telling you about before we started to film that I was getting very nervous because the last couple of shows I was getting less and less lines, and they treated me like, I don't know, they didn't say, hi, Charlotte, how are you? You're doing great. No, none of that. None. There were only men on the show, you know. And the last show, I only had 12 lines. I was, even though I had a contract, I don't know why, but I thought I was going to be fired. And after we shot the second show, after dinner, the producer went like this to me, and I said, oh, this is it, this is it, this is it. And he said, listen, what's his name?
The producer?
No, the guy who came in. Freddie Silverman, who had fixed ABC and CBS. Freddie Silverman taking over the network, and he's going to work with this show, and he wants to take and spin you off. I saw you, he knows you, Sylvia Schnauzer on Car 54. And he wants to do you with the, as a house mother with, in a girls' school. And we need a history of it all. We need a real Bible of it. And you're not going to have to get together with the writers. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was the beginning of Facts of Life, and
Right.
a whole different world for me.
Great. So before we move on to Facts of Life, let's talk a little bit more about Different Strokes. Was Mrs. Garrett on Different Strokes based on anyone in real life? How did you? No.
Not really.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about you worked with child actors on Sesame Street, and now you're working with some more child actors. So was the experience different with these kids than other kids?
Well, on Sesame Street, they were not playing a character. They were just being their own delightful, bright self. And this, with, you mean, which one?
On Different Strokes.
Well, they were very, also bright and precocious, and also very, very excited about being in the show. Very, very, most agreeable. Nothing nasty. Nothing. Those things happened later on when I wasn't there. But yeah, just delightful.
So talk a little bit about the schedule on Different Strokes. You know, you taped 2 shows for each episode.
Yeah, which one? Both of them?
On Different Strokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you ever find that maybe one performance was better than the other, or did it?
I didn't even think about it. You know, I mean, I don't think any of us thought about it. All we did was do the best we could. That's it. And let them edit and do whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now, when the producers came to you and said they wanted to spin you off, were you ready to move from Different Strokes?
I was worried because I had just, I wondered because before I got Different Strokes, I had a divorce after 25 years, and I had this house, and I didn't know if I could keep up with the payments. I didn't want any alimony from my former husband. I just wanted to share the expenses of the kids, and so I just hoped I could keep the house. And I didn't know if Facts of Life would make it. Different Strokes was a big hit. And I asked my managers what I could do about that. And somehow or other, they got reassurance that if Facts of Life didn't last, I could go back to Different Strokes. Did you ever hear of anything like that? Wow. Was that something? That was something, yeah. I was very grateful, yeah.
So now, when Facts of Life, they created the series, what did they tell you was the premise, and what was your reaction when you heard what the premise was?
Well, my reaction was that it sounded very familiar to me because a friend of mine, Roland Barber, had thought of me and thought it would be a good premise for a series, and had mentioned it to, I won't mention their names, at the Norman Lear office, not to Norman Lear, but someone else there. And then I had turned down Mary Hartman, as you know, and they knew that I wasn't taking just anything. And so when they took this idea and made it into what they did, without giving any credit to my friend, the writer, I knew it came from there, but I was in no position to do anything. I'd mentioned it to him, the writer, and he said, "Don't do anything. It's not going to be anything to do anything about. Just accept it and do it with my blessing." And so I did, and in the beginning, it looked like the ratings were very low, but we found out that NBC kept it because everything was low with them at that time, with the network. And that when summertime came and the reruns were on all the different networks, people started turning us on and getting hooked into our show, The Facts of Life.
So now, how did Mrs. Garrett change from Different Strokes to Facts of Life? Was she the same? Did she get a little deeper? Did you develop her more?
I think I was able to develop her a little more. A little more, a little more.
Yeah.
Because these girls were growing.
Yeah.
They're in adolescence and moving on and up. So I was able to do a little more growing with them, yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett also got a first name when she started on Facts of Life.
Yes, but I want to tell them that we went to that school that this producer's daughter had gone to.
Yep.
What was the name of it?
Westlake?
Westlake, yeah. And we asked the girls all sorts of questions, and all of them wanted to have big careers and everything. But this one little girl had this funny little voice, and she was fat, chubby, and Jewish. And I thought that would be a wonderful supplement to the other girls, wonderful, because the other three girls were Christian, and one of them was African American, and that it would be, and she had this funny little voice. Well, I don't know but I think, and she was very funny and cute, and she had never done a professional thing in her life. But I recommended her, and she read, and they took her. And, you know, after the first year, she stayed on with Nancy. No, I'm sorry, with
Lisa.
Lisa Welshel and
Kim Fields.
Kim Fields. And then I auditioned Nancy, and they took her on. And the other girls were wonderful, all of them. Felice Schachter and Julie McWhirter and Julie Haddock. They were all wonderful. And then, of course,
Molly
we
Ringwald.
and Molly Ringwald, of course. Absolutely. They were all good, talented, great. They just didn't have time for all of them. And then, of course, we got Jerry Jewell later, which was terrific. I mean, I'm so glad that she was part of us, a very important part of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about working with Jerry.
Well, she's a highly intelligent woman who's had quite a struggle. I mean, with her cerebral palsy, what she's done with her talent and her drive, I just think she's amazing, and I admire her so totally. Yeah. Love her. I love her.
I just want to hop back for a second. When you said you went to Westlake and you discovered a young girl, you never said which young girl that was. Can you tell us who you discovered at Westlake?
Yes. God, this is crazy. I'm 90. What's happening? Wait a minute. I can't believe this.
That was Mindy Cohen.
Mindy.
Yeah.
Mindy Cohen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we said her name.
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk a little bit more about Mrs. Garrett. You said that they gave you the opportunity to sort of give input and help develop that character. So did you help decide where she was from and things like that?
Well, they decided, because I came from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, that they would make it from a small town, Appleton, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know. And then the name, Edna. Well, as I told you earlier on, my oldest son, Andy, was developmentally disabled. And he met a girlfriend at summer camp. And I asked if she could come down. She was disabled as well. And if I asked her mother if she could come down from Aurora Grande and come back and stay overnight on some weekends with me. And the mother said, sure. And I said, do you think because they're both, you know, like 20, do you think maybe they could sleep in the bed together? She said, sure. I said, really? She said, yes, that's natural. And she used to come down, and I just used to feel so good. And they used to shut the door. I don't know if what they were doing with each other, but they enjoyed each other, hugging and kissing and so on. And then the mother got cancer, Edna. And I had named, at that time, they said, she needs a first name. I said, Edna. And she was so proud that I had named Mrs. Garrett after her.
That's nice. So let's talk a little bit more about the girls. Were you close with them on the set?
Yes, they would take cigarettes out of my mouth. You know, I'm very grateful to them because I didn't smoke more than 5 cigarettes a day, but they kept pulling them out. And when I had my pacemaker, and I had a Labor Day weekend, I had my pacemaker put in. They gave me, because I was nominated for best, best TV star in a TV series. A beautiful, it's in my bathroom, the main bathroom, is a beautiful, like a Academy Award statue. And it says, cream always rises to the top. Very sweet. And when we went to Paris together, we all had such a wonderful time. It's all been good. The girls are good. Their parents are good. It's been good.
And you stay in touch with most of them now?
Yes, yeah. I'm in touch with Nancy, mainly, but also Kim. When I know about her 2 kids and her wonderful husband, who's an actor, Chris Brown, and the 2 kids. One of them's, I know them very well. Let's see if I can remember. I know them so well. Oh, well, I'll come back. And then Nancy's kids, they have very unusual names, 2 daughters, wonderful daughters, and wonderful husband. And Lisa and her 3 gorgeous children. And Mindy is still single and very busy bopping all over the place, having a fabulous time, doing a lot of little offbeat films and a lot of voiceover. Yeah. And I get a kick out of people remember me. And then, like one time I was in New York and I was coming out of the subway with a friend. We went to see something way down in the village. And we got off the subway and went up the stairs. And this big guy went, ah! And I knew it. We just embraced. And then he went his way and I went mine. He went downstairs to the subway and I went up. And I get a kick out of it. Yeah. I do. One time I was getting ready to go take someone to lunch in New York. And a guy going this way towards me, he said, God, you look gorgeous. Just those. But when it was very popular, when the show was still on, it was difficult because my friend in New York lived on 65th Street, and you really couldn't go out because there was a school around the corner from her. And you couldn't go out because they would grab me, But it was not like some movie stars don't like it what a television star, you know, you're in their home. I mean, you're in between their feet if they're in bed, looking at television. I mean, it's a very intimate relationship.
You told me earlier that there was a little bit of distance between you and the girls on the set. Why was that?
Yeah, well, they were very polite, but they thought that I was part of management because I had selected Mindy for the show, and she auditioned and got it. But years later, they told me, Nancy said, "We thought you were part of management." No, I was just part of the team. Yeah. But we're very now, you know, Lisa and Kim and Nancy, it's woman to woman now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. There was a lot of important issues that you talked about on the show, a lot of body image issues. And we hear stories that the girls were also dealing with that in real life. Were you involved with any of the behind-the-scenes discussions about their weight or anything?
No, you know, they thought that I was involved I had no idea that they were being weighed and all that by the producers, which was so stupid, because the more they tried to weigh them, the more they would eat. You know, I mean, teenagers, that's what they do. You can't tell them about things like that. No.
So now most of the storylines on the show focused on the girls.
Yes.
Did you feel that you were able to explore Mrs. Garrett as much as you had hoped you would be able to?
Well, I didn't mind until when it was getting towards the 7th year. And then I felt, I don't think I can go on 2 more years, because they asked me to go on, all of us, to go on 2 more years. And I thought, I don't think so, because they're all going to work around the kids, and the kids don't need that much guidance. They help each other more or less. They didn't seem to right for me to be kind of talking to them about my experiences anymore. And so I thought I'd like to go back and do stage and travel and enjoy myself and do other things, which I did. And so I did a crazy thing, because everyone said, stay and get every nickel, get every nickel. And I thought to myself, I know, I should. This is my one-time big thing. It's a miracle that I got it. You know, a lot of people get on a series and it's not successful. I mean, I didn't get like a lot of them did, like, what was it? They got $1 million every time. I didn't get anything like that. No. But still, I'm not complaining. But I, you know, you only live once, I think. And I just wanted to have a little more time to travel and to do interesting plays, which I did. I did Driving Miss Daisy, which I adored. I did it. I could do it. I could even do it now at my age. I could. I love that play. And then I did Beckett. I did a Beckett play, a 2-character play called Happy Days, not the series. And her name is, I forgot.
Winnie?
Winnie. Oh, noble soul. She's up to here in a mound of dirt. In the second act, she's up to here in the dirt. And she finds interesting things to do every day. And she has this big black bag. And she put all sorts of interesting things that keep her alive and keep her going. And it's always with a good attitude, even in the end. At the end, she's still being. I mean, you know, it's an allegory about life and how we keep keep on keeping on. It's very, very touching. Yeah, and then, last May I did a play. As a matter of fact, they found that my dermatologist found out that I had cancer in my salivary gland. Yeah, and my ENT guy didn't find it, but she did. And I had radiation, and I lost some hair, and I'm going to be monitored every 3 months. And I did a play while I was in radiation, another Beckett play called Endgame at the Kirk Douglas Theater. Got great reviews, and we were all nominated for Best Actor. I got it, and the lead got it, and the supporting player, and I'm the supporting player, and Best Ensemble. And that was a nice, wonderful. What?
Let's talk a little bit more about Facts of Life and the production of Facts of Life. So talk about working with the director, John Boab.
Oh, I love John. I love him to this day. We're friends forever. And he was recommended to me by Jeffrey Barr, who knew him in New York as a theater director. And he's been mentoring with Jay Sandrich here and learning about television. And I thought, what a wonderful guide that would be for us, someone who knows about theater and who's being mentored and knows how to do television. And I brought him over to not Norman Lear, but to the producers, and said I would really like to have him. And so they did talk to him and give him the chance, and he did many of our shows. And he was wonderful with handling the different actors and handling the script. He was able to make wonderful adjustments in the script. He was really quite marvelous. And he's a wonderful human being, which helps a lot. And I'll always be grateful to him because he really took good care of all of us. Yeah.
Now, is it the same schedule as Different Strokes? Did you do 2 tapings for each episode?
Right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how much rehearsal did you do for a show like that?
Well, let's see. We would shoot on Tuesday night. So Wednesday we'd get the new script, and then we'd go home. And then they'd rewrite after hearing it. And Thursday we'd have a little rehearsal. Friday we have a little rehearsal. And Saturday and Sunday they'd send me the new script. Always rewrites. And I'd go drive to Camarillo and bringing Andy home for the weekend. And on Monday would be our camera day. We'd have to know our lines more or less. And it was a grueling day, a long, long day. And we'd get it all settled. And then on Tuesday, we'd shoot one in the morning and one in the evening. And then the next day, we'd get the new show. And we'd start to read the show. And then they'd listen to it and see what needs. They'd send us home and they'd work on the script. Mm-hmm. You didn't get much chance to rehearse, actually.
Yeah.
And I know friends in New York who really couldn't do it. I mean, Jane, what's her name? I love her. She's gone now. She was a wonderful stage actress. She said, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's not part of me. I can't do it. Yeah.
So you talked about how fans reacted to you when they saw you on the street. Why do you think Mrs. Garrett resonated so much with people?
Well, I think, when I wrote a book, it's called The Facts of My Life.
Yep.
And I wrote it with my other son, Larry Strauss. And you can get it on Amazon. But I think that What did you ask me just now? I forgot.
I asked you why you thought Mrs. Garrett resonated with people so much.
Oh, well, Barnes and Noble, they don't have it anymore. You got to get it at Amazon. But at the book signing, they were saying a lot of grown-ups were saying that they were latchkey kids, and they really related to Mrs. Garrett. She was who they really hung on to and clung to and loved. They were the mother that they wished that they had had around and being there and all that. And so that makes me happy that I serve some service, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. In '82, you were nominated for an Emmy, as you said. How did that make you feel? How did that honor feel to you to be nominated?
It was wonderful, but mainly because the girls, I had just had a pacemaker put in, and they brought me this beautiful thing. If you want, you can shoot it in the bathroom, that they gave me. An Academy Award with, it says, cream always rises to the top. And all their love and support made me feel good. And of course, I didn't get it, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I was nominated by my peers. That's the main thing, that you're recognized by. And I was recognized early on in 1972 or 3. I don't think I was still living here for Queen of the Stardust Ballroom, Best Supporting Role, an Emmy. Didn't get it, but was nominated. Yeah, and
So now you told us why you wanted to leave the show. Talk about when you talked to the cast and crew. What was their reaction when they found out you weren't going to stay with them for those last 2 years?
well, they didn't understand. None of them understood, but they said, goodbye. You're the star who never acts like a star. And we love you and wish you well. And then Cloris Leachman came in and did it. Yeah.
Yep. Did you have any input in her being cast on the show?
Actually, I didn't. A college chum of ours, because Cloris and I went to school together, mentioned that because I had told her that I was leaving, and she told Cloris, and her manager got involved with and got the job for her.
What do you think is the legacy of Facts of Life?
I think growing up, family, love. I think that's what it's all about. And working out problems. We had wonderful. I'll tell you, I'm really very proud. I had a lot of input with the issues: suicide, divorce, death. We had Molly Pecan on, and I loved her. She was so wonderful. I would always give her in my dressing room because I didn't want her to go up to the second floor. And she was so delightful. And she played, what's her name's grandmother?
Was she Lisa's grandmother?
No, Mindy.
Mindy's grandmother.
Jewish grandmother. Mm-hmm. And that added so much to the show. And then the last thing she did, they made that she died. And we had to put the black cloth over the mirror, all those things you do in the Jewish religion. And I was so sorry that she left us, because she was so wonderful anyway. Yeah, she was wonderful. And I think that, what else do we have? Divorce, suicide, overeating, so many issues that was very important. Competitive, and that adolescents go through. and suffer over. And I suggested that they have a hotline, that they mention a hotline with the youngsters answering it, not grown-ups, you know, and stuff like that. I really cared, and I think the kids really felt it.
Yeah. So now, after you left Facts of Life, did you feel like you were typecast for a while after that? Was it hard to break away from Edna Garrett?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did do Love Boat, and I did Murder, She Wrote, and
So many shows
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like going into a guest spot like that? How are you received by the cast? What's that like, being a guest actor on a show?
Very nice, very nice,
Yeah.
very nice indeed. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, appreciated it.
Why do you think you've had such a long-lasting career?
The grace of God, I'm telling you, and that God gave me a lot of talent, and I'm very grateful for it. Yeah.
So we just have a few summing up questions now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about acting?
It's what I do. It's like a spider or an alligator, or it's what I do. I love it. It's an infinite part of me. I really love it. And it's so funny that I ended up I love doing serious roles. I do. I have a lot of feeling that I need to spread and do and feel and share. But who knew that I had comedy in me? Who knew? I didn't know until at Northwestern University they opened me up with Paul Lynde in the WAMU show. That was a wonderful gift to find out but of course, if you do it serious, if you're really serious in your acting, then it can be funny. But if you try to be funny, it's not funny.
How do you think roles for women have changed from the time you started in TV through till today?
Well, I think they're more real. Women are real. There's not that flouncy kind of superficial thing that they used to make. Very seldom do you see like the Marilyn Monroe, or that's no longer acceptable. No, women are women. They're real women.
How has television changed since your early days in TV?
Well, in the beginning, I wasn't very happy because it became, for a while, a little wilder, but vulgar. You know, every other word was piss, or pee, or fart, which is an easy way to get a laugh. But I mean, there's so much quality television now. I really can't complain. A lot of wonderful stuff. I'm amazed that the network still survives because of all of the, what do you call it?
Cable and
Cable.
internet and everything.
And internet. All the quality stuff. No, it's quite remarkable today. Quite remarkable. I mean, you could stay in your house and never go out to a movie house. There's plenty of good stuff. Plenty.
Have you had mentors throughout your career?
Yes, I always have. My acting teacher in New York, Mary Tarsai. You know, I was the original Mammy Yoakum in Little Abner. And she helped me enormously with that character. because I really didn't want to do it. They all, I just, they offered me $750. I didn't know that at the time, but they wanted me to do Mammy Yoakum, and I didn't want to do a comic strip character. So I thought if I mentioned that I wanted $750, they wouldn't want me, because it was, and they said, okay. So I was stuck with it, but she helped me develop a wonderful character, because I was the shortest person in the cast. I'm 5'2½". I was. Now I'm 4'7". But at that time, everyone was taller than I, and they were all dancers and moving around. It was all very active, very active, very active, very active. And she said, you're supposed to be the leader of the town, the strong one. Don't move. And when you move, make it count. Make it count. And so she helped me, and I did a very, very, very minimal movement. And, it made a difference. I know, she was just brilliant. I never take complete credit for anything. I always like to have someone looking and giving me their input. God gave me the talent, and I do have intelligence, and I have a wonderful instrument, as we say. And I can get it, but I always want someone's input. And I like to give credit where credit is due. A lot of actors just, they just say, yes, it's all me. But it isn't. Most of them have someone behind them, helping them, watching, coaching.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to become an actor?
Go to college, get a degree so you can teach, or, that's the only thing I can think of, is to be sure that you have a way to make a living. I could never wait on tables. My arms are short, my hands are little. I don't think I could manage very well. And I don't think I'd be very good in a department store with all that stuff you have to do with the machines and everything. So I figured I'll get a degree. If I need to, I'll teach. But it's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that this little lady, who's not very glamorous, my legs are, God bless them, they're short little legs. They're like little sausages. And you know what? They're strong. They're very strong. And they keep me going. And this little short lady, it's a miracle. I'm not beautiful, but somehow or other, in television and in the theater and sometimes in the film, I've been able to make a living. Thank you, God.
Thank you, Charlotte. We have one last question we ask everybody. How do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? What do you mean, like what?
But just by humanity, by people who you entertained all these years.
Well, if I took them out of themselves and they forgot all their troubles and were able to laugh and forget everything, or cry because they were out of themselves and into a different world because I brought them there. If they think I was a wonderful actress, an actor, a good actor, that would make me happy. And then, aside from being a good actor, if I ever made them laugh, which God knows we need, don't we?
Yes.
We need as many laughs as we can get, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for making us laugh all these years and entertaining us. And thanks for sitting down with us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Academy and Nancy and crew